Let's start a podcast about our mental health for no good reason why. Let's call it Mind Cake.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another slice of Mind Cake.
Mind Cake.
With him,
Lee Crompton. And him.
Paul Beeson.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I nearly forgot to say Mind Cake, but
I know, I saw your funny face. You were just...
it's so simple and yet so difficult.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome. Good.
Just a wee update on have people go, well, you left us on a cliffhanger after the last episode because how are your tingly digits? My tingly digits are much better after realizing that I wasn't going to keel over from a heart attack. So I have got a blood test this afternoon, but all well, thank you.
Excellent. My sore neck is fine.
Yeah, yes, sore neck's fine.
Nothing to worry about.
It just coincides whenever we meet up online, you just get a pain in the neck.
That's do you know what? I feel it's starting again.
Is that curious, isn't it? It's a coincidence.
Curious and curious.
Talking of coincidences,
mm-hmm.
And I was going to say spooky things, but it's spooky depending on your. I was just going to talk about this episode that is coming up with the wonderful Kay from KC Holistics.
That's right. Yes.
Talking about crystals. Crystals.
Michael Caine's back again.
No, wow, that's a bit of a camp Michael Caine. Crystals. Yes, it's a very interesting episode. And is this the first joint one we've done?
The first joint interview we've done, yeah, it is, because kind of always been separate because of work commitments and things like that. It is the first time that we actually had time to do a joint interview. Because the way it's worked out in the past, it's usually one or t'other, isn't it?
It is, but very interesting. I found it quite discombobulating because I couldn't tell when people were going to speak. So I'm glad that you edited this episode. And I think we'll probably just let Kay do her thing.
Kay? Okay.
Welcome to another slice of Mind Cake. And today we are joined by the lovely Kay of KC Holistics. Hello, Kay.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes,
You're very
welcome, Kay. This is it's already happened. We've already spoken over each other, haven't we?
That's right. That's why I'm glad you're editing it, Paul.
Yes, but welcome, Kay. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much, and you. And I've enjoyed listening to a couple of your episodes already. So this is my first ever podcast as well. So I'm excited to do it with you both as well.
Woohoo!
So, Kay, you are a qualified Reiki and crystal healer.
Yes.
Before we get into that, we should maybe mention how we know each other.
Yes.
Which was a random meeting at, you had a crystal stall at the Knutsford Christmas market.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you believe only last month? But there you go. And after some funny goings on, where I was a little bit, I have to say, I'm coming at this from a slightly skeptical angle. But when I saw you before I had my spiritual thing in Knutsford, spiritual reading in Knutsford, I was slightly less skeptical when I came to see you afterwards and purchased some of your lovely crystals. Having said that, I don't know anything about really Reiki, and I don't know anything really about crystals. I don't know about you, Paul. I don't know what you're...
The same. I'm aware of people having crystals because they have certain properties and that kind of thing, but that's about as far as my knowledge goes. I've never had a Reiki session either, so again, I'm kind of aware of what it is, but I've had no personal kind of experience with it.
Am I right in saying that Reiki is non-contact?
So Reiki can be both. It really depends on the client. The first thing you'll do is ask them, do you want hands-on treatment or hands-off? Reiki is universal light force energy, and basically I'm just the person who kind of shows where that energy should go within the body. But to be honest, the energy only goes where it needs to go. I'm there with my hands and facilitating it, really. Whereas you've got crystal healing where you'd physically put something on the person's body. I actually don't do in-person Reiki treatments, one-to-ones. I actually did that just to strengthen my own spiritual practice and just to be more connecting to my higher self, getting deeper in like a meditation practice, because when you connect to Reiki and crystal healing, it requires you to have just a bit of that more of a downtime, to connect to possibly those thoughts that you wouldn't be able to listen to normally, especially when there's a lot going on in everyday life and there's a lot of busyness going on. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent then. You're definitely going to have to cut that bit up.
I'm definitely not cutting that bit up at all. Loving it.
Oh, is that cut off?
No, Lee, you there?
Oh,
Oh.
Lee's on now.
Well, I'll tell you what, in Lee's absence, why don't you tell us how you and Lee met then? Give us a background on that.
Yeah, it was so random. So I do crystal markets, I do makers markets, and this particular day, Knutsford Council were running a weekend for the Christmas light switch on. So I was there the Saturday and the Sunday, and then I think it was a Saturday. Yeah, it was. And Lee came over with his friends. Those two friends, and we just got chatting, and the first thing he said to me was, I am quite skeptical to crystals, but my friends have brought me here. And I don't know, I just got such a warmth from him already, and you feel when you just start talking to somebody and you feel like you've known them forever.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Even though he was telling me he's skeptical of crystals, and I was actually had a stall full of them. Found it quite funny. But he was telling me that he was off for a psychic reading. He rang somebody up that day when he was in Knutsford, and normally this lady has like months and months of a waiting list, and she said, well, I've actually had a cancellation today, can you do it at 3:00? So he was telling me all about this. I mean, anything like this, psychic readings, tarot cards, it's right up my street, so I'm really interested in it. For him to go for his first ever reading, I couldn't wait to hear about it. And he said, I'm going to come back and tell you about it. And funnily enough, he came back with a crystal in his pocket that the lady had given him.
Oh, right.
He wasn't sure what it was. One I'd not seen myself before, because I feel like even though crystals have been in my life for like 16, 17 years, I'm still forever learning every day. I mean, there's that many out there, but I actually didn't know what she gave him. She said to him, you must keep it on you. And whatever the conversation was between them both, he ended up buying crystals from me as well, what he was actually drawn to on the table. And then we just got chatting because he told me about his life story, and I felt a lot of empathy really of what he'd been through, but just how he handles life, just going for it and not letting anything hold him back. And I just really admired that in him. It was so nice as well.
Just that whole weekend, like the whole fact that he was in Knutsford for a start is such a random place. Don't think Lee had ever been to Knutsford. He might, he might correct me there, but it was just a sort of random place in the middle where him and his friends from the south sort of decided to go. And then, like you say, like he met yourself, and he had that reading, which was quite eye-opening from his perspective. He just had one of those sort of mad weekends.
Yeah.
It's like it was all meant to happen,
Totally. And then it put me and him together in terms of like the connections, and I met his lovely friends. And then I think as well, just even though we have totally different stories, I felt like we kind of probably came together of how we handle life and what we've been through, and it's kind of like got us to where we are now. And obviously his passion and what you and yourself as well, what you enjoy doing, and mental health's at the forefront of your podcast. For me as well, like with crystal healing and how I got into crystals, is all to do with, my own mental health and sharing that with everybody else as well, because I know how it's kind of helped me and I want to help others. And I think that's also like a mutual thing that we both shared as well. But equally, I just felt it was like talking to someone I've known, you know, like an old school friend.
I don't know if you've sort of listened to one of the previous episodes where we talk about how we met. People think that me and Lee have been friends for years, and it's
Yeah.
actually not the case at all. We have known each other for a
No.
little while, but we haven't spent a lot of time together. But he's just one of those people where you just click and you just, you can just talk at length about, well, everything and nothing,
Yeah, definitely. And it just feels easy. So it's no, it's definitely like I feel really lucky for him to ask me to have joined. And yeah, I think he's back as well.
Yeah, we've just been talking about you.
My ears were burning.
Yeah. So we're just kind of talking about how you guys met randomly in Knutsford and how that whole weekend was a little bit random and eye-opening and stuff for you, like of all the sort of random places, but then you met Kay and you had your reading and all this nice stuff happened to you.
Yeah, I don't know obviously what you said, but it was so I was with my friends Bob and Hannah is very sort of well, you met Hannah, didn't you, Kay?
Yeah. So she's really spiritual and she's been into for a long time.
Yes, and we were just having a chat in a Costa at 10 o'clock on the Saturday morning and she was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have a reading when I get home." And I go, "Of course you are, Hannah. Of course you are. I think I should get one for my 50th too. If the stars align, there'll be availability this afternoon." And then, yeah, what happened happened, which was, I can honestly say, possibly the bizarrest afternoon of my 50 years on the planet. But and yes, the first person, because I said, "Oh, I'll come." You said, "Come and tell me how you got on after you've had your reading."
Yeah.
And of course, I had to walk. I think it was about 4 o'clock, 4:30. So you
Yeah.
were packing up by the time I was coming back. But I just wanted to seek you out because I'm like, you will not believe what's just happened to me.
No. And I was
So
fully interested in all of this as well. So I really wanted to hear it.
it was very bizarre, very bizarre.
No, it was a great day. And I was just saying to Paul, I feel really lucky to have met you. And now we
Oh,
can,
thank you.
yeah. And, we can have a chat on the podcast as well. It's fab.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I say, I was just interested, having no knowledge of crystals or Reiki, really, just exactly, I suppose, what it is and what, like I say, because I bought some crystals from you when I saw you. I know this is going to sound a silly question, but I don't really know. So, what are their properties? How do they work? How would you use them? I mean, Hannah, for example, she's saying, "Oh, when you're meditating, she holds her crystals," and I'm just sort of interested to know, I suppose. Well, first of all, how you got on that
Yeah.
journey anyway? Is it something that you always kind of had an interest in, or did something happen to kind of put you on that path? How did it all come about?
So it all came about. I'm 34 now, and I received some as a gift. I think I was about 14 or 15. There was just a couple in the pack, and I never knew anything about crystals or the properties. And I'll talk about that later, just so you can all have an understanding of the difference between crystals and Reiki. But from my how it all came into my life, yeah, I received some as a gift, and I just remember opening the pack and how visually they just drew me in. There was like a rose quartz. There was two others I can't remember. One of them was an amethyst, which was a purple one. But I just remember feeling such like this warmth and calmness come over me, just visually looking at them. And then it wasn't until probably a little while afterwards that I found that there was meaning behind each crystals and how they connect with different parts of your body. So your different energy centers, which we call chakras, and how, like, for example, if we're struggling to sleep or we might have a lot going on in our minds, that we can actually use specific crystals, keep them close to us to kind of alleviate those maybe daily challenges or physical problems that we're facing. And then that was it, really. I feel like it just sucked me in from something that was very much meant to be just from a gift. And then I was seeing them everywhere. You have those situations where you've never seen anything in your life, and next minute you're seeing it all over the place. And then I was like, I guess you could say, almost collecting them. I just loved the look of them, the natural form, some when they're polished. But for me, it all started off being very visual and how it made me feel. And yeah, that's how they came into my life to begin with. So probably what's that, nearly, I'm terrible at math, 16, 17 years ago.
Oh,
Mhm.
don't ask Paul. Don't ask Paul. We've already had a couple of clangers on the last episode of as Paul's mental arithmetic is something to behold, isn't it, Paul?
Hey, I'm a creative. I don't do maths.
Good. So Paul, me and you are very similar.
But no, it's interesting what you say about them being, visually striking. Because I told my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, that I was going to chat to you, and she wanted to. I sort of go to bed, but she wanted to come and sort of get involved as well because she loves the colors, she loves the smoothness of them, she loves, regardless of properties or healing or anything else. She just loves the color of the crystals. She's very attracted to them. So and she has some beside her bed. And what I would say, I can still hear the other one, the 3-year-old who doesn't know the meaning of the word sleep. I'm going to make a note of. So, what huge crystal should we have next to her bed to aid sleep, Kay?
I would say amethyst, and purely because it's such a great crystal that's connected to our mind, our crown chakra, which is the top of your head, and our third eye as well. And the problem is, a lot of problems are connected to sleep is when we've got a lot going on in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
So what amethyst is really good for is kind of just decluttering stuff that's just not even important, helping us kind of just clear all of that. Equally really good for like calming the entire nervous system as well. So it's almost like having just a big cup of chamomile tea, like how you just feel so just relaxed inside. Amethyst equally has that impact, just having it at the side of your bed. And even if people don't believe in like the properties of it, I think just visually looking at it as well just looks very soothing.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a wonderful crystal to have at the side of your bed. And if I could add to that, I'd also say moonstone, just because, again, that's such a calming crystal, very good for the vibrations that crystal gives off is just so subtle. And that's the kind of energy that you want before you go to bed. So you don't want to be in kind of like a high energy mode. It kind of helps you to just really wind down. Really good night's sleep. So you feel like you've just had a really hot bubble bath having those around. And I actually notice a huge difference with my sleep when I actually put them under my pillow as well. So make sure they're like small ones and not like massive big balls. But I definitely, from a personal experience, notice like I even dream more, and it's just like a deep slumber when I've got those two next to me.
Well, that's really interesting. It's
Yeah.
funny because there is, we're talking about, like, I guess from Lee's daughter's perspective, the pretty colors and things like that. But there is a sort of tactile thing with crystals, isn't there? It's like just holding them. There's something nice about. I don't know what I can't quite put my finger on it. But yeah, there's something very tactile about them as well, which is quite comforting almost.
No, I totally agree. And I personally think I've got ADHD. This is undiagnosed, by the way. Google diagnosed myself, but I hit a lot of the indicators in terms of like I've never really been able to just sit still. I've always been doing lots of different things. And one thing that crystals do teach me to do is slow down. And I think that's because when I've got them in my hand, I don't know whether it's a distraction, but I just like the feel of them. I like holding them. And whether that's just some kind of like mental engagement where my mind's, for once, is just not running off with itself. I'm just kind of focusing on the present, but I just really like having them in my hand as well.
It's weird because I say I came at this very skeptically, and I'm, obviously interested, and I'm open-minded about it. But having not had any crystals or any kind of belief or whatever about that sort of thing previously, I think I showed you the one that Zakara, who was who did the spirit guide who did the reading, gave me a black crystal, which we think is volcanic glass. I can't remember.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what it was myself. I was saying that to Paul. We're forever learning about crystals because there's that many of them. Do you still keep that on you?
I've got it in front of me now. Yeah.
You?
Yeah, and I think, like you're saying about the tactile thing, for someone who is, I would say, quite logical and quite black and white, and not really entertained anything to do with this before, when she gave me that crystal, and it's not a smooth one, it's not jaggedy, but it's not sort of, it's not completely, it's not like a pebble.
No.
But for that whole weekend, like I said, I keep it in my pocket all the time, and I just keep kind of just rubbing it. I can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a tactile thing, whether you believe in the properties or not. I think there is something quite calming about.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, as Hannah was saying about having them on you when you meditate, she holds them in her hand. I can imagine that is, yeah, it's soothing, whether, like I say, that you believe in the properties or not, it's that soothing feeling of, and we've, me and Paul have said this before, that if it works for you, some things might work for some people, some things won't. But
Yeah.
if it works for you, then who's to argue with that?
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with you. Would you like me to tell you the difference between crystal healing and Reiki?
Yes, please. I mean, I suppose the other thing for me is when you say, like, you have, let's say amethyst and moonstone for sleep. Obviously, you've said you put it under your pillow. Like, so the crystals I had from you, I leave them in my study for when I'm working and writing and what have you. But
Perfect.
what should I be taking them to bed? But do you know what I mean? Should I
Yeah.
feel difference if I put them beside my bed of a night?
I've always been very intuitive led. That's how I always am. And I'm the same when I set up for my crystal stall. I was packing for my markets today. And I'm led by how I feel like inside. People always come to my crystal stall and we'll have a chat and say, oh, where shall I put this? And I'll always recommend where I think it's best to put it, especially if you're dealing with, for example, like we were talking about before, maybe you've just got a busy mind and you can't shut off. So I would say, well, maybe keep it close to your bed. The beautiful thing of connecting with your own intuition, and that's how you connect further with the crystals, is because you're listening to what's being said inside. So if something's saying to you, do you know what, put those on your desk at work because that feels right, then that's obviously where they should be.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get a feeling of what to do with them. You don't know why or where that's come from, and then you just do it. So, I've got crystals in my car, and then the other day and I've had the same ones in my car for ages. And then I was just thinking, I think I walked past some that were in my room, and I just picked one up, and I knew it had to come in the car with me, and I didn't know why, but it's just that kind of inner feeling, and I think it's just following your gut and what feels right for you.
Okay.
I think the more you connect to your gut, that's how you'll work with crystals and understand them, feel the benefits of them more.
What is it that irradiates from the crystals that is healing or is helpful or is what have you?
Yeah, so basically with crystal healing, so crystals, they emit an energy that are capable of healing us on an emotional, physical, and spiritual level. The difference between crystal healing and us, because our bodies, we have energy going through our bodies as well. The difference between us and crystals is crystals operate and they give off energy, and it's a frequency that's coming off the crystals that's at a constant, steady level. And for us as human beings, our energy somewhat can be unstable, especially if we've had a bit of a hard day at work or any particular stressful situations that we've been through. So the beauty of crystals is because they're resonating energy at a constant frequency, when they kind of come into contact with us, they're able to kind of sense a certain part of our body that's operating at a lower frequency. So it kind of knows where to give the body that energy. You might have been through something particularly emotional, so your heart and your heart areas just needing a bit of healing, so the energy would work towards that. And basically crystals just encourage the body to match the frequency of the crystals, bring that emotional balance, realigns everything.
I don't know whether we need to talk about Kara or not, because this is was almost a turning point for me, in that I'd have thought that this was highly dubious. But I don't know whether I've mentioned this on a previous podcast, Paul, so forgive me, but many things happened that afternoon, but one of which I went into this, one of our opening gambit, if you like, was I think I have said this, and my head was on my chin was on my fists as I sort of sat at the end of the table, and I had a high neck shirt on and she said, "Oh my goodness, what's happened to your throat? What's happened to your neck?" I was like,
Mm.
"Sorry." She's move your hands, move your hands. Your throat chakra is like glowing. I can't remember what color it was now, but she
Blue.
was blue. It was like, and it wasn't like, "Oh, yeah, is there something going on with you?" She was like, you could see the shock in it. I don't and I said, "Yeah, there could be." And again, I'll be perfectly honest. I've tried to rationalize this and go, well, is it this thing that, have people generally got something wrong with their throat, or they, sore throat, or their glands, or whatever, and it's a kind of an opening gambit, and she just
Mm.
happens to have hit the jackpot with me because I've had had terminal thyroid cancer. But it was just odd, and then obviously other things happen that you go, well, there's no way she could even know that.
Mm.
It's made me think about this kind of thing. No, it was very odd.
And I've got to say as well, like I've had a couple of tarot readings myself in the past, and some of the stuff it was the same lady that did both sessions, and some of the stuff that she said was scary accurate, and some of the stuff that she sort of said, "Oh, this is going to happen," has happened. And again, I know if you put your sort of skeptical head on, you go, "Ah, but." Because there's not a time frame on it, so is it she's saying stuff and then you are making the connection,
Mm.
but then actually she was scary specific about some stuff that has happened, and yeah, I mean, there's just there isn't any explanation for it other than a spiritual one, as far as I'm concerned.
So have you got crystals, Paul?
No, I don't. I don't have any crystals actually. No.
Don't you? You're gonna set him off now, Kay, because he hasn't got any crystals. He didn't get any cakes from nom 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 Northern Noms.
Well, they were sent for both of you, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
but
Kay knows the score. Kay knows how it's working.
don't you throw me under the bus.
no, I'm not. I was. It was for his own benefit that they were so tasty, and I thought I don't want to have to send them all the way across the country to Edinburgh. When you won't get them at their best. So I, for you, ate them all, Paul.
Thanks, mate.
Mm.
Actually, I was just going to say something about what you said earlier, Kay, sort of coming back to something you said about trusting your gut and going with your gut.
Yeah.
And you were talking about it kind of in response to crystals and how to use them, or where to use them,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. But certainly for myself, since I've kind of, had my own struggles with mental health, and
Mm.
one of the things that I now kind of try to do is to listen to my gut more, because
Yeah.
more often than not, if I'd listened to my gut, things would have gone better, or something would have gone better, or just you're faced with a bit of a dilemma. There's quite often I've looked back on it, see if I'd just listened to my gut, I would have gone in a different direction there and I was proved right. But it's only after the fact that you sort of go, oh. So that's definitely something that I'm trying to do more
Yeah.
of. And when you get that kind of gut instinct or feeling about something or a situation, I try to listen to it.
Sorry, is that
No.
rather than listening to Gail? Is that listening to your gut rather than listening to Gail?
Well, it's like a 50-50 split. But then, actually, in all honesty, quite often, if I was to ask for Gail's opinion on that, she'd probably first of all go, "Well, what's your gut telling you?"
Mm.
Mm.
I think she comes from a similar kind of place as well. It's like, well, your
Mm.
gut's rarely wrong,
Yeah.
So yeah, she would always say that to me anyway. So it kind of I don't know, validates the gut feeling, I suppose, in
Yeah.
many ways.
I think as well, what crystals have taught me, and since I launched my business, I feel like I'm a lot more present because I'm doing something that makes me happy, and it's giving me more of a mental stillness. I feel like I've got a lot less mind chatter going on.
Hmm.
And when there's a lot less mind chatter going on, I feel like I can really hear like how I'm feeling inside, because in the past, and I can still be like this now, I can be very emotionally led and be led by a lot of what's going on in my mind, but not necessarily what's going on in my mind is actually happening. And I just find crystals teach me to slow down. And I actually really feel, especially this like last 12 months, that I'm hearing my gut more and I'm
Mm.
making decisions based on actually how I feel. And it actually feels really nice. And even though you feel, we can all say, I wish I listened to my gut though in the past. I think as well, whatever we've been through anyway, we learn from it. I feel like it's almost like character building, and you kind of just know, right, well, I won't do that again next time. So I think it's good to have life lessons, even if things kind of, it's hard to go through it.
Oh,
It's probably
totally.
easy to see that at the time, is it? But
Yeah.
once you're through it,
It's sometimes you have to make a mistake to learn from that, or but having that experience then makes the next time you have a similar kind of decision to make, it takes the pressure off because you know what it could
yeah,
be like, so I totally agree with that. It's interesting because we had a friend who is a mindfulness practitioner on a previous episode, and she was talking about meditation and trying to be sort of more present in the moment and trying to sort of focus on what's going around rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about future
yeah,
events that haven't happened. So
yeah,
it's interesting that you're sort of, that the connection with that and the crystals as well.
yeah.
So would you say that kind of, I mean, do you actually meditate, Kay? Is that something that you do in your sort of
Do you
mindful
know what?
practice?
Yeah, I don't meditate at all, and I
Okay.
know I should. My form of meditation, because I can be have a lot going on in my mind, I find it easier to go for a walk now, especially since I had a little boy.
Hmm.
So for me, my meditation is not wearing headphones and listening to music, and I'll just go for a walk where there's a lot of greenery around me. Because meditation's all about having that stillness within your mind and your body and what helps you feel relaxed. And I think a lot feel as well that you just have to sit in a funny position in silence. And for me, I could never do that personally. I'd be starting thinking about what I'm going to be having for dinner that evening, and are the fish fingers frozen, or do I need to leave stuff out of the freezer? I physically need to be kind of around nature. That's how I connect and that's how I feel still. And the same is being around my crystals. That really helps me just feel calm and connect. And I guess that's something I've only learned more so since I've launched my business and had a little boy, because I think we'll all find our own inner kind of calm, kind of based on doing what we love. So I know I've got friends who love hiking. That's their form of meditation as well. So yeah, I don't physically meditate. I do it in another way that kind of brings me a quieter mind, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to do what's right for you. And actually mentioned it just a few minutes ago. It's like, what works for one person isn't necessarily going to
Yeah,
work for someone else. You've got to kind of figure out how to get your the zen into your life, as it were.
yeah,
So for Lee, it might be writing because he's coming up with ideas for sitcoms and films and things
plays,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah, so I wonder if that's his thing. I don't know.
Why are you
He's
talking about me like I'm not here?
because I can't see you, and you're not even like going yeah.
I don't want to over the top of people, you see. This is the
uh,
problem. When I was talking to the bee lady, every time I went it cut off like the last couple of milliseconds of what she was saying.
mm,
So there's all these gaps.
mm.
Stop that. But no, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't know in Gemma's words, my wife's words, she says it's almost like you've had a bit of a sort of wake up call these last and things that I would never even have entertained. So, for example, I'd be interested to know what you thought. Have you read The Secret?
Yes.
I thought you might have done. Have you read it, Paul?
I have not.
Are you aware of it?
No.
Well, I'll be honest, Kate. I thought it was a load of old crap because it's
Did you?
well, no. Sorry, the premise of it. The premise of
Yeah.
it. So somebody mentioned it when I was diagnosed and said, "Oh, you should read The Secret." And basically, the premise of The Secret, in a nutshell,
Mm.
is ask the universe for if you want something, ask the universe, and we're all connected, and the universe will provide you with that. And I thought, well, a lot of old shit that is, because we'd all be asking the universe for whatever it was, and we'd all be millionaires, wouldn't we? But that's not how life works. so that's cropped up a couple of times since about The Secret. And my Paul's best friend, my cousin Carrie, has recommended that I read it. Now she's very logical, very scientific, very she's not Hannah. No disrespect to Hannah, but Hannah, and that's I love Hannah to bits. Hi Hannah. But she's got that mindset. She's very spiritual and very open to that sort of thing. Whereas Carrie is much more sort of black and white and logical. And she's saying you should maybe have a look into this. With these weird things have happened. I mean, well, weird things have been happening to me as well, Carrie. And I have to say, I watched the film, and it was quite possibly the worst film I've ever seen.
I've read the book several times, but I didn't like the film. So, in fact, I didn't even finish it. So I felt I connected to the book more.
It hasn't put me off because Carrie's recommendation. So she's recommended another book. So I haven't read The Secret. I'm about 4 chapters into The Greatest Secret, I think it's called.
Yeah, I've not read any more, but I have read The Secret.
And again, the first chapter, so about 20 minutes of The Greatest Secret, and I'm like, geez, just please somebody pull my ears off. It's just repetition of. But the point I'm making is that there are certain nuggets in there that you go, well, hang on a minute. And like you were saying about that meditation doesn't work for you. I find it very difficult to. We are getting someone who's doing meditation who's very, very good. But I find it very difficult as someone who's kind of fidgety and like you say, thinking about have I turned the oven off and blah 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 blah. It's very difficult to sit still for any length of time and just think of nothing. Or sorry, that's not what they'll say. If something comes into your mind, it's like a cloud. Let it pass and it'll go again. Anyway, so I don't know what this is saying in The Secret, but in the Greatest Secret, one of the things they say is your awareness. If you say to yourself, "Am I aware?" And I find it, like you say, I think we had this conversation not long ago, Paul, where you could be in a car and you're driving to work and then you don't know how you got there because you've been thinking about
other time. Was that even a green light? I don't know. Let's hope we didn't get a car.
Let's hope it was. Or eating I think the example I used was eating a sandwich at work. You eat your sandwich and then you throw the packet in the bin. And I haven't, because I've been sending emails or whatever, I've no real recollection of eating that sandwich. Whereas if you ask yourself, am I aware? In my head, all of a sudden I'm going, yes, I am aware because I'm aware of the trees, I'm aware of the wind on my face, I'm aware of my feet touching the pavement or whatever it is. And there's something very grounding about that. And it goes back to something that when we had Dr. Jan on, so something I was working with Dr. Jan, if you want to ground yourself, it's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. Think of 5 or look at 5 things that you can see.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing. I can't remember what order it is, but you basically, and just having that moment of counting down from 5 to 1 of different things you can see, hear, smell, touch, whatever. It just sort of reconnects you with, rather than sitting still rubbing your crystals. That's not a euphemism, Paul, before you pull a face. I find that quite, and like you say, it's what do you find what works for you. And if walking out in the woods or taking the dog for a walk or whatever it is, I used to find pushing Erin in the pram much more therapeutic or much more calming than sat trying not to think of anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I did as well when Daisy was a baby? I used to, like every night, would take her out for a stroll just to kind of help her get off to sleep. And there'd be some nights I'd just be walking around for hours while she slept in the pram, just enjoying I don't know, just the sensation of being out. And it was, it was a bit later, it was quieter, it was dark. There's something nice about that. Calming.
The calmness, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always got a lot, and I've never really, in all honesty, walking was never like one of my favorite things to do, but there's something so calming about just going out with the pram and then just, like you said, just the quietness around.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's my newfound kind of relaxation, my own meditation.
How old is your lad then?
I was just about to ask that.
He's 18 months now.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely flown by. He's the reason I've even launched my crystal business. I was trained as a Reiki practitioner and crystal healer many years before he was born. I was on maternity and I just wasn't used to having I know this sounds crazy saying it, but so much free time, because when he was sleeping on me for like 3 hours at an end, and I'm the kind of person who can't sit still, everything changed. And how my, this is how my crystal business came about, because it's obviously a passion turned business. The ultimate happiness that he's brought me, and I also feel connecting with nature more, because when you're busy working, and as we all know, it's very intense, and like the days can just go by so quick, and it's hard having that time for yourself. So I feel like for the first time when I was on my maternity leave, it was actually time to do things that I really enjoyed. And that started how I started connecting with myself as a person and just doing what I love, really. And then going back to what we were talking about about The Secret, I feel that's all to do with kind of like law of attraction, and how if you're feeling happy, I feel like that abundance flows. Yeah, my life's totally changed since having him, if I'm honest. And it's just, yeah, the journey is just going on now, and I'm on a podcast talking to you both about Chris. Would not
Our five listeners are delighted to hear your voice, Kay. But I thought we'd add to 4 listeners now, because one of our listeners is on the podcast. So
we never thought of that, did we?
never thought that. Yeah, we can't get people on who listen to the podcast because it affects our ratings.
So
But no, it is interesting that, like you say, that you've had that kind of, not I suppose, shift in focus. But yeah, I mean, I think kids.
it was a total epiphany in my life, really.
Yeah, it's a bit of a game changer.
Yeah. And obviously here I am, we're all on this podcast talking. I think if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I am now. So
yeah, it is. I think that's the thing. As much as I am kind of skeptical about The Secret, I will keep at it, if for no other reason than that you and my cousin, whether you believe in whatever is going on in the universe, I think there is something very powerful about. Again, I think it goes back to, we haven't actually released this episode yet, Paul, so forgive me, but it'll also be out by the time this one comes out. For your benefit, Kate, I spoke to the bee lady, she does bee therapy, which is the episode will be coming out on Tuesday, and she was talking about how you choose to react. So she chooses to be happy. She chooses to react to things in a way that are positive. You can talk about it, about energy, putting energy out into the universe, or however you want to describe that. But there is something about the fact that I say gone out of my way, but I've made an effort to go to Knutsford to meet my friends, to have a good time, go around the market. Because of Hannah, I've gone to the Spirit Guide. Because of Hannah, I've stopped and talked to you. There are a chain of events that have led to me and UK being on this. Well, me and Paul starting the podcast, and you then being on that podcast. And if you don't open yourself up to, positive experiences or engaging with people, whatever, then does that make any sense?
Yeah, totally.
Whether you believe it's some weird universal spirit power, or whether you think it's actually just being positive and opening yourself up to opportunities and putting your best foot forward, for want of a better expression, that leads to other positive things that then, the whole thing kind of snowballs.
I think it just shows that mindset's such a powerful thing. And it's hard because we can't just be like perfectly happy every day. I have my days where I can feel fed up and I'm not sure why I feel like that. But it's choosing then to, right, well, I'm actually not feeling great. I'm going to go out for a walk, or I'm just going to go into my crystal cabin and be around my crystals, and then doing something that gives me that inner joy, and I feel like that kind of sparks how the rest of my day is going to be. So it's making those conscious decisions.
And going back to what you said earlier, yes, but when you thought I was mute, that yes, writing is it, but is what does it for me. So I will, if I can sit with a laptop or a bit of paper and work out storylines, or it's not even the writing bit really, it's working out the pieces of the jigsaw that fit the plot, and working out why certain things happen, because you're the puppet master and you can decide. I just find that fascinating, that you are, the master of that destiny, and you invent these characters and can control what they do or don't do and how they interact. I love that. And like I say, for Jan, she would say that's my towards move. That's when I'm at my happiest, is when I'm doing that creatively.
Yeah, that's great. And that's what you've got to keep doing, because then
Mm,
that's what lights you in a fire.
yes. I see on your website, Kay, that you've got your crystals are from Brasilia,
Yes.
Madagascar, and Morocco.
Yes, of some. Yeah, some of them from all over the
Why is
world.
that? Right, okay. Is there any particular reason why? Is it just where they're abundant, or is there something behind that?
So that's where generally the crystals are from. So
Okay.
you can get some crystals that are from a few different places, but predominantly a lot of them, for example, like amethyst is from Brazil. So that's where I'll focus on, depend on what crystal I want to buy.
So where do you get them from then?
So I don't physically go to Brazil myself
No, I
or
wasn't suggesting
I'd
you were.
love to. So I buy them in the UK. I've got quite a few suppliers all over the UK who specialize in just amethyst, for example, some crystals like labradorite. So it'll just be a case of kind of what crystal I want at the time, and having those trusted suppliers who physically will go to Brazil, India, Madagascar to like go and get them. And then they actually come to my house. So some of my suppliers, it's great. It's like a crystal warehouse on wheels, and I will
Wow.
physically handpick them. If some of them are too far away, so some of my suppliers, for example, are in London, and they will bring the van to my house, and I'll just walk on, and then yeah, see it all in person, which is amazing. Yeah, so
That's
I love that is my plan. I would love to go overseas and get some and meet some contacts. That'd be fab.
that does sound amazing.
So when you're
Yeah.
choosing your crystals, Kay, do you again sort of follow that gut instinct and sort of just you're drawn to the ones that you're drawn to, which you
Yeah.
then will then sell to other people?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was having a conversation with someone about this the other day. That is 100% what I do. It's almost a bit of a selfish thing, really, because I should really be thinking like what crystals are popular right now and what's earning everyone, a good wage. But I go in there and I literally buy what speaks to me. So I'm like a kid in a candy shop, and I'll walk past stuff because I'm just not interested in it. And then there'll be some crystals that just draws me in and get it. And I feel like I'm just connecting with my own energy there. And it's coming from the heart. It's what draws me in. I feel that that comes off to my customers as well, because they can equally feel that as well, because it's just they've been chosen through what sparked that kind of inner wow, like when you look at them and that inner joy it brings me. And then when I put them on my crystal table at my markets, I can actually see people as if I chose them for that first time, like that initial reaction that they gave me. And I feel that feeds through. And it's the same. So I'm doing a crystal market on Sunday in my hometown in Sale. And I've just packed everything today. And I just kind of look at everything. And I've got quite a lot of stock. And I just know straight away of what I should bring with me. And I've got a green and a on at the moment, which is communication and connected to your heart. That's what the colors resonate. And that's the vibe that I'm going with. So a lot of crystals that I'm taking on Sunday are a lot heavy in greens and blues. Whether people connect to that or not, it's just something that feels right and that I want to kind of share with everybody on Sunday.
That's amazing. Do you know just another little coincidence there?
Go on.
When we started this podcast, I'll show you this. So this is a mug that I've got on my desk
No, I've got the same cup.
from I bought it in the theatre at Sale when I was doing a show there.
Oh, I've
The
got that as
the
well.
is it the Waterside Art Centre? And when I heard your accent, and obviously I knew you met Lee in Knutsford, I looked at my little cup and I thought, I wonder if Kay is from Sale.
No way.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
See, it's a bloody secret again. It's all
It's worth
interconnected.
bringing us here. So my
Yeah.
friend bought me that cup as a housewarming gift as well when we moved into this house. So I've
Was
got
his
Oh,
friend,
that
was
cup.
your
I
friend
love
called Paul?
it. Maybe.
Yeah, I was really drawn to the mug as well, like because the theatre in Sale was it was really lovely. It's got this amazing gift shop,
Yeah.
And of all the little, trinkets and t-shirts and books and everything else, that mug just. So I guess it was like the crystals. When you're choosing your crystals, I was walking
Yeah.
around just for to get a little souvenir because I had such a lovely time performing at that particular place. And
Yeah.
that mug, I just saw it and I went, I'm having that. That's brilliant. I was really drawn to it.
That's great. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just spoke to you. So you already knew me before you knew me.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
by getting the bug.
So what show were you doing at Salepool?
I think it was one of the kids ones. I think it was Shark in the Park.
Have you seen him in the Crown cage? You watch The Crown?
I do watch The Crown. Yeah, I'm actually season at the moment, but obviously with the little one, and he's been teething badly recently. I'm a bit behind.
Well, when you
No.
get to season 6, episode 6,
Are you on it?
yeah, so about 4 minutes in, don't blink and you'll see me very briefly.
I'll screenshot it.
Yeah, you'll be lucky. It's bloody difficult because I'm hardly on the screen. So I was trying to screenshot it as well. Kept missing myself.
Go on, do the voice, Paul. Do the voice.
Come on, everybody. It was a good experience though. It was a lot of fun. There are
What
no
voice?
small parts, are there? Only small actors.
Exactly.
Look,
Mhm.
Danny DeVito.
I mean, he is a small actor who gets lots of big parts.
Hmm.
So what can you do?
But then we can't say anything about your big thing that's coming up that you've had to sign a NDA for.
No, we can't. So
But
sorry.
coming to a television near you, folks. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, again, don't get too excited.
Kay, you have a website which we'll put on our link tree. And so
Yeah.
if people are interested, they can visit your website, find out about you, find out about crystals, and buy them online from your emporium.
Yes. So there's actually a specific section as well. So if you're very much new to crystals, there's actually options to say help to sleep or crystals for work. And that will actually guide you to the right crystals as well on my website. So if you are
Ah,
new to them, hopefully that feature helps people, because my husband's built the website for me. He's a software developer, and we were both talking about what kind of makes that initial basically what helps people if they're new to crystals and they don't know where to start. I just wanted it to make it as easy as possible for people.
That's great
And
because I was going to ask if we're trying to buy stuff online, like how do
yeah,
you, because you're not physically there to connect with
no,
anything. So that's fascinating.
yeah. So I've done that job for you, and then it'll
Mhm.
just be a case of you clicking a button to say, I need to sleep a bit better, or I need a bit more confidence or courage in the workplace. Then there's those features on there. But
Excellent.
yeah, I post out, and I do markets, which I really enjoy doing, because that's when I can connect with people and talk to people.
like
That's
me.
Excellent.
my favorite. Like
Yeah.
you, yes.
What
But
what what is your website? Just you might as well vocally plug it as well.
Yeah, it's www.kcholistics.co.uk. My Instagram's the same name as well. But my inbox is always open if anybody's got any questions. I always encourage people to, if they're unsure, just drop me a message, because I've got a lot of time to, want to help people find the right crystal. And even if it's not crystals, if you've just got a question about anything, then I'm there for.
That's amazing. I'm
right,
definitely going to dive on and have a look at that.
Yeah,
I
thank
just know that I need a bucket load of amethyst and moonstone. So I'll be in touch, Kay.
you. Anytime.
But I have to say, like you say, in Knutsford Market, it's obviously Christmas. It was very, but I have to say, whatever you think about crystals, your stall is like visually stunning because of the different colors and the different stones and whatever. I mean, it is quite a sight to
Yeah,
behold. So I can imagine being surrounded by that as your job is just. And I
yeah,
remember you saying as well, I won't pick the crystals yet because I'm about to go and have my reading.
yeah,
And you said, well, just don't be led by that. Just pick whatever you're drawn to. And then
yeah,
that's obviously
exactly.
what we did when I came back. But Kay, it's been fantastic having you on. Thank you so much for giving up your Friday evening to talk to us newbies about crystals. Or hopefully I will see you in June if you're back from
Yeah.
your travels.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and we definitely we will catch up soon with each other whenever it'll be. But
Our
that
paths will cross again.
they will, and I feel like we just carry on talking as if we've seen each other yesterday, because that's how it feels.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I might see you one day soon too, Kay. Do you know what I mean? Don't forget about me.
No, definitely not. I mean you as well, Paul. So it'll be fab for us all to kind of connect next time.
Well, let's do it. Do you know, I might piggyback on Lee's Knutsford trip then.
Yeah, do it. That'd be
Just
fun.
Well, you
invite.
were invited. You were invited last time.
Yeah, all right.
You could have been there. You could have been in the mix.
Well, I'll be in the mix next time. Don't worry.
Nice one. Thank you so much, Kate.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kay. Take care. You all right there, Lee?
Yeah, I was just having a moment.
Again, another really interesting episode, and from coming from a completely kind of different perspective as some of the previous guests we've had on as well. Outlook there. You all right, Lee?
So, I think it's a bit of Kate gone down the wrong way. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Lee's giggling about something that we've edited out. There was a little
All right.
mistake in
Yeah.
the recording, and he's still
Mm.
laughing about it.
So-
Yeah, I've been dead busy since we recorded this episode, and I've not had time to go onto Kay's website and have a little look there and see what crystals are available. So I can't talk from any personal experience just yet. But it was really interesting just hearing, particularly like your kind of your lost weekend in Knutsford and all the strange coincidental little cosmic things that were happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very interesting chat, and I have a lot of time for Kay. Like I say, I think there is that connection there. However, am I wholly on board with crystals and their magical powers? I'm still, I suppose, getting to my own opinions on that. However, I think if you open yourself up to things, and there are forces at work, because if I hadn't have gone to Knutsford that weekend, and I hadn't have maybe gone with Hannah, who is particularly into her crystals, and hadn't decided that to have that reading, very skeptically, that was just bonkers, by the way, and lots of things that came out that Cara couldn't have possibly known, and hadn't have then gone to this Christmas market and met Kay, and then mentioned that we're doing a podcast, and then what I'm trying to say is there's a sequence of events. I think if you open yourself up to possibilities, and you open yourself up to whatever you want to call it, energy or whatever, then things do come out of that, depending on what, I suppose, side of the fence you are. Is that just pure coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, or is there something else at play? And I think that's where
fate.
Yeah, and I think it is interesting, like you say. We've said before, if things work for some people and not for others, then who are we to either poo-poo or endorse anything? And I think it's very interesting what Kay had to say. And I will be, if for nothing else, trying to get her into sleep. I will be definitely on Kay's website ordering some, was it amethyst, I think she said?
Amethyst and moonstone, I believe.
That's it.
Just getting, like I said, that just another kind of world view, another viewpoint on ways to improve your mental health. That's what we're here to do. We're here to just hit a wide range of different things, aren't we? So, and she's a lovely, lovely person as well. She was so easy to chat to. And we had a giggle as well. So it was lovely interview. Yeah. We've got a couple of shout outs to give.
Do some shout outs.
So we're going to do some shout outs.
Shout outs.
Yeah, I was leaving a gap in case you wanted to. I know how much time you've got in your hands, Lee. So if you want to make another jingle,
yeah.
By the way,
I'll just get Izzy to do it.
Yeah, just before we get on to the shout outs, I absolutely loved the last housekeeping jingle was a work of genius. You've just got to keep that in from now on.
That is staying in.
No, it was beautiful. I absolutely loved it when I listened back.
She loved doing it as well. So I think that's not the last we've heard of Izzy.
Excellent. And was it Izzy's birthday? No, recently.
No, it was Aaron's
It's Aaron's birthday.
Aaron
Beg your
was
pardon.
Aaron was 4
That's right. Yes.
on Wednesday.
And was it a good weekend? Or you had a party and stuff, didn't you?
Very good, yes.
Yeah.
Again, people were going, "Oh, it's a party and a soft play for 25 kids. It's going to be horrendous." And I'm like, I am so looking forward to it. I cannot wait.
Mhm.
For reasons which I think are immediately apparent. I'm like, bring it on. And it was fantastic. Loved it.
Excellent. So anyway, yes, back to what we were talking about, shout outs. So we have a few
I'm not going to do the jingle again.
No, don't worry. I think the moment's gone. So we've got a few shout outs this week, actually. So first shout out goes to Ian McNabb, who he's actually sent us a few emails, has Ian, hasn't he? He's been quite
He has.
whatever the email equivalent of vocal is. And he actually very kindly left us a review as well. So Ian, thank you for your continued support and thanks for tuning in and for all your kind words.
Because I think he's found it very useful, very helpful.
Yeah. It's not just saying, "Oh, I enjoy listening, cheers." He actually has explained to us how the podcasts have helped him in certain ways and situations and things. So he's been quite open and quite openly specific about some stuff. So thanks again, Ian. Your support means the world. And who else have we got? You've got a shout out for Caris, is that right?
Yeah. Caris, she is the gymnast, the go-to gymnast in the Balfron area.
So
and she teaches Izzy and Aaron and many other. She's fantastic. I think we should probably get her on at some point because it's very interesting talking to her. So she does the gymnastics for Isabel and Aaron and hundreds of other kids. And I think it's quite interesting talking about sort of kids and their interaction and how at gymnastics, having gone through COVID where they didn't interact with anybody, now both Aaron and Isabel have friends from different schools and different communities because they're meeting people outside of their usual bubble, if you like. So you've gone from COVID where you've got no bubble to then, things like gymnastics and other clubs and things that she goes to. But I just think that's a fascinating dynamic in itself into what Caris and her team do to spread this enjoyment and joy to kids in the area.
That's great, especially in the news recently, like over the last few days, we've had this statistics about childhood obesity and how kids have picked up bad habits in lockdown and they aren't exercising as much and all this kind of stuff and more reliant on being entertained by screens and video games and things like that. So it's nice to hear a positive thing coming out of COVID that the girls are doing something active. Yeah, absolutely. And also
they're certainly very active.
And also meeting people from, like you say, different schools, different parts of the the local community and stuff. It's not expanding the bubble after COVID can only be a good thing.
And do you think Caris?
I don't know. I mean, there's more than one Caris in this world, but I used to teach a girl called Caris when I was a teacher in Bridge of Allen.
Well, but seeing as how you're right in that she's listened to the podcast, she's surely, I wouldn't want to say you're instantly forgettable, but she would have remembered, oh, the Paul Beeson that you've got on your podcast, I used to have a teacher called Mr. Beeson.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago. So maybe she's just not made the connection. Or in fact, it's not the same Caris.
Could be a different Caris.
Yeah,
who just likes gymnastics.
Yeah, I don't know how old the Caris I taught back then would be now.
And I'm not gonna guess. That's not fair to put that on me to guess how old she is. But thank you for listening, Caris.
Yes, thanks,
and thank
Caris.
you for all you do in the world of gymnastics.
Yeah. Now, I also have a couple of shout outs from a couple of old school chums of mine. So first of all, got a shout out for Chris Hyde. So I've known Chris for 40 years. I've known this guy, and we're not as close as we used to be, unfortunately. But like people grow up and drift apart and stuff. But I used to see him kind of regularly in his place of work when I lived near that place of work, and he sent us a really nice message. So Chris says, in regards to which episode was it?
Charlotte's.
Oh yeah, to Charlotte's episode. Chris says, great episode, lads. I loved listening to it while at the gym trying to burn off the flab from eating too many processed mince pies over Christmas. I was very humbled by Charlotte's story and inspired by her outlook on life. How many of us dread turning another year older, but forget how lucky we truly are to grow old and have our health. It always confuses me why we don't teach the biology of our bodies at schools as standard at a young age, how our bodies work and what fuel is best for our bodies, and even how to prepare and cook good food. Our bodies are the most important tool we have. I'm 44 and still have no idea how my bloody body works. We should be experts of our bodies, healthy body, healthy mind, and all that. Monaco Moor is such a wonderful place. My wife and I got engaged there.
Wow.
And that's the place that Charlotte has
That's
all
where
her dealings with. Yeah.
The Appy Pod, yes.
Yeah. Chris goes on, I urge anyone, if they get a chance, you must visit. It's a great place to switch off and decompress, and I'd be very keen to try the Appy Pod next time I visit. Thanks again for the great content, always balanced by your humour and going off on a tangent. Chris, thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Words. It's always nice to hear people who don't mind the tangents that we go off on.
Oh, so many tangents.
So many tangents.
I posted online 2 different types of porridge. So Sainsbury's have the cheap one that's on the bottom shelf that's £1.30 a packet for a kilogram packet, or you can pay £2.30 and have a 750 gram Taste the Difference, which is made from the whole grain of the oats or something like that. But when you look at the nutritional value on the back, it's an exact carbon copy. So is it purely the taste? And then I looked at this Holland and Barrett. You can get organic oats, and they also give you nutritional information in terms of, nutrients and like iron and calcium and all that other stuff in there as well as the bog standard. So apparently, yes, Sainsbury's only have to give you the bog standard government. This is what's in it in terms of ingredients, energy, fat, carbohydrates. Whereas, so anyway, the point I'm making, if there is a point to this, is that on the back of what Charlotte said, if I can't even walk into a supermarket and make a very quick, easy decision, I'll go, these oats are £1, these oats are £2. Do I want to pay the extra? Are they any better for me? Then what chance have we got? I remember when I was in India, and I went to this particular place in India where they have what they call the Towers of Silence. Are you aware of the Towers of Silence?
I am not, no.
Right. So the Towers of Silence are like this pedestal with a almost like a funnel, but with a platform on. So these platforms are, I don't know, 20 foot in the air. It's something to do with reincarnate. Anyway, the point I'm making is they put they're dead. So when you die, rather than burying them, rather than cremating them, they put them on these what they call the Towers of Silence, and basically they decompose and are eaten by vultures and whatever, and then it goes back into the, it's recycling, if you like, in the very. But anyway, the point I'm making was, well, they're going to be up there ages, like decomposing. Now, again, this might be an urban myth, but somebody in India told me, it was an Indian guy, that actually the bodies in the West decompose. It takes 7 times longer for them to decompose than it would do an Asian body or someone living in India, because of all the preservatives and because of all the stuff that we eat in our diet. That actually then affects the decomposition rate of our bodies because we've pumped ourselves full of preservatives. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think it's an interesting.
That we eat so much crap, we like pickle ourselves, and it takes longer to break down because we're full of preservatives. Oh my!
I don't know, but anyway, on the back of that, boring or not, just switch off if you're not interested. But I think I'm going to do a video thing online comparing. Let's just take porridge as a starters, right? Comparing Sainsbury's Taste the Difference and maybe the Holland and Barrett stuff in terms of, do you get any additional nutritional value from the expensive oats, and actually what do they taste like? And not only what I think, because as we've gone with the bread, we're baking my own bread, the kids have gone, I think it's lovely, right? It's lovely, fresh, warm bread. You can't beat it for dunking in your soup. But the kids have gone, I don't like it. Probably because it's not got salt and sugar and all the other crap that, your shop bought bread has got in it, so
Oh,
they don't
totally.
like it.
Mhm.
So we should maybe do a taste test with me, and maybe do a taste test with the kids, and just see what are the nutritional and taste. Obviously, taste is a subjective thing anyway, but
This could be a sub podcast, or like you say, a little video. Maybe this is how we get on into the TikTok generation, doing the healthy food taste test.
are you on TikTok?
No, I don't do that.
No, nor me. It's just
Anyway,
another
but I
account we'll
think
have to set up.
I know, God, it's another thing to keep track of.
Oh.
No, it's not happening. But I certainly think there's validity in that. But we'll talk more about that on Sunday.
Let's do that. We're meeting up on Sunday for a bev. Are we doing that? You were going to clear it with Gail.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last I
yeah,
heard.
yeah. We are.
Oh, we are
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah,
Right.
Gail might even come through for a mooch in Glasgow as well.
Hurrah!
And actually, just while on the topic of Gail, I'm going to give Gail a little shout out because she's an avid listener. But on the back of your the top 10 from April 1983, Gail had nothing to do with me, but has posted on our social media saying that she thinks the Tracy Ullman song "Breakaway" is an absolute banger.
Oh dear.
So thanks, Gail, for listening and validating Lee's.
I thought. Yeah, no, actually, no. She has gone down in my estimations a little bit if she likes the Tracy Ullman song.
Yeah. So I've got one more shout out, if you don't mind. I know there's a lot of shout outs here.
Yeah, a lot of shout
So
outs.
also have to shout out my pal Alan. So it's another school chum of mine.
What, Alan?
Alan. Alan lives in Australia now, and he has done for many years. And he sent us again a lovely email. He did Facebook me as well, but he sent us an email going, "I know how much you two love receiving emails."
Love an email.
Yeah. So he doubled down and he sent us a lovely email just saying he's really enjoying the podcast. He's listened to all the episodes over the last couple of weeks. He's had his own demons, and it's been nice to listen to some of the advice from guests over the last few episodes. Keep up the good work. P.S. Paul is my favourite, but I'm probably biased as we went to school together and he was at my stag do a year ago. So don't take that personally, Lee.
I'm not taking it personally because one of your other friends said that the porridge thing was boring. So I think the balance has tipped significantly in your favour, I would suggest.
Yeah. So Alan also said that he was listening to one of our episodes on the beach, obviously being summertime down there, and it was interrupted because his son, Adam, was stung by a jellyfish. I just wanted to say, hi, Adam. I hope that the sting isn't too sore and that you've fully recovered.
Well, no, I hope he's okay.
Yes, I think he's fine. I think it's all's good. And I did clarify that Alan didn't pee on him. It didn't have to get to that stage.
No, okay.
So that's all good.
Good. Well, also I'm going to give a shout out to Kenny.
Hey, Kenny.
Hello, Kenny. When you did your tingly digits, he said he thought that sounded like a Welsh folk band. Ooh. So all I'm saying is, if there is a Welsh folk band called Tingly Digits, if you'd like to get in touch and maybe do us a jingle or something, I think the chances are that there's probably not a band.
Here's the new song, Off on a Tangent by Tingly Digits.
There you go. So thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, quite a lot of shout outs there, but it's always nice to reply to the nice messages that we get.
Yes. For this episode, au revoir.
Bye.
Well, that's normally what I do.
Well,
Bye.
Well, I've not done housekeeping. Oh, what a nightmare.
Oh, the housekeeping jingle.
Oh. Well, we've got less than a minute now.
Just cut and paste it from the last one.
Just find us on social media. Bye.
Let's start a podcast about our mental health. For no good reason why, let's call it Mind Cake.
At the time of recording, I have yet, because I've been pretty busy this week, I've yet to go and have a rummage around on Kay's website to have a look at the crystals.
When he's finished his rubbish of Kay's crystals.
All right, I'll do that again.
Oh my god! Rummage.
Oh, geez, I thought I got away with that. All right, okay. And there we go. That was a lovely episode from Katie. Oh, Jesus Christ. Right, I'm doing it again. Come on, come on.
Oh. Right.
Back in the
Okay.
room. Back in the room. Oh, man. Mute yourself. I'll mute you. There you go. I can't unmute you now. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay.